New mom Annie Price gently cradles her 9-week-old son as he peacefully snoozes in her arms. Her home in Surrey radiates domestic bliss, as baby Sonny happily gurgles and giggles away. The idyllic scene couldn't be more different from the first few months of Annie's life. At just 4 months old, Annie defied all odds by surviving a catastrophic caravan fire that left her with lifelong facial scars and only 9 fingers. For years, Annie, who was born into the Irish traveling community, was told by social workers that her mum had torched the mobile home in an attempt to kill her own daughter. Annie nearly died, spending 4 months in hospital recovering from the ordeal, before being adopted by a loving family. Annie with baby Sonny, image, Facebook. Now, the 32-year-old personal trainer is determined to see her son have a very different start to life. Sonny is the only blood relative Annie has ever known. "I was over the moon when I found out I was pregnant," the new mum beams. "And it's really made me think about what happened to me as a child. I had a properly normally childhood. I have been very lucky. I was fostered and then adopted into such a loving family who were always so open about what happened to me. I was never bullied at school. But I am worried about Sonny being bullied because of how I look, because kids can be really cruel and not realize what they're saying. It's one of my worst fears. But I am going to be completely honest with Sonny about what happened to me. I think if you lie or conceal anything, it makes a big issue out of it." Annie admits she is worried her son might get bullied for the way she looks. Image, Facebook. Despite spending her childhood believing her own mum tried to kill her as she was sleeping, Annie has now discovered the fire was probably an accident. Annie was told her birth mother Biddy may have been motivated to start the blaze as she feared being ostracized by the traveling community. She was married to a fellow white traveler, but had an affair with a black man and was worried she would be shunned for giving birth to a mixed-race baby. But there was never any proof that Biddy started the fire. Annie later found out that mobile phone blazes were extremely common in the 1980s, with 2,000 incidents every year. Biddy herself later died in a caravan fire 9 years ago. Annie found that emergency services described her as unrecovered, pending recovery, in records from the incident, meaning they didn't think she would survive her burn injuries. The documentary follows her and Sonny in his first 6 weeks of life. Image, Facebook. Records also show her grandmother's hand was burnt from the flames, suggesting she lifted and carried baby Annie out of the van. Despite saving her life, Annie's blood grandmother Bridie doesn't want a relationship with her. And instead of feeling relief on finding out her mum probably didn't try to kill her, incredibly Annie says she feels guilty. "My first feeling actually was guilt, because I felt like I had let her down by judging her," explains Annie, who is engaged to Sonny's dad Sam Stone, 28. "I never hated her for thinking she had started the fire deliberately. I just thought no normal happy person would have done that, so whatever circumstances led her to do that meant she did not have a good life. I actually felt sorry for her." Annie with her fiancé, Sam Stone, image, Tim Anderson. After digging into records and local news reports about the fire, and tracking down the firemen who attended the scene, Annie found that the blaze was most likely caused by a cushion catching alight from a gas heater. "I did feel bad when I found out," Annie admits. "I thought, oh God, why did I never question it? But if you're told something from a young age, why would you question it?" Throughout the years, Annie has undergone countless operations, and is planning her next cosmetic treatments on her nose and hands in the South Korean capital Seoul next year. She had skin grafts throughout her teens and is planning more laser surgery to ease the tightness in her skin. But she says her appearance has barely held her back in life. She's been with Sam for 4 years, after the sporty pair met in a gym, and has had a number of boyfriends. Annie as a baby in the arms of her adopted mum Maggie, image, Annie Price. "Growing up, here was a part of me that was worried about relationships," she admits. "For example, I don't think I ever would have gone on a blind date. And, when I was 16, all my friends were getting jobs in shops, but no one would hire me. I thought it was because of how I looked. It feels like there is a party and you're not invited. It did not feel good. I thought, oh, this is going to be difficult. Annie says the experience is one of the reasons she decided to set up her own company. She runs Silvermere Gym in Cobham with Sam, saying she was put off from pursuing employment by more traditional means. It's one of the reasons I work for myself, she says. Because if you have two people applying for a job, and one of them is burnt, you would probably subconsciously go for the person who isn't burnt because it's easier. But Annie says her adopted mum Maggie always boosted her confidence. Annie says, she always made me think I was beautiful no matter what, which never made me feel I had to hide. I know I'm badly burnt, but I never felt self-conscious growing up. Annie takes an extremely practical attitude towards negative people in her life, and just ensures she surrounds herself with non-judgmental friends and family. Annie works with the Katie Piper Foundation, Image, Instagram, Katie Piper. She also says her career path has transformed her attitude, and she's competed in bodybuilding competitions alongside her fitness-mad fiancé Sam. She started working as a personal trainer when she's 17 after spending her childhood obsessed with sport. Exercise and sport have revealed helped my mental attitude, she explains. Because with sport, it's just about you and what you're doing and no one else. It doesn't matter what you look like, but what you're doing. And it makes you feel better. It lifts your mood. Annie carried on working out up until the birth of Sonny in late December, especially after finding out that her birth mum had suffered from postnatal depression. Annie, who had a 19-hour water birth, says she feared developing the condition herself but so far hasn't felt any significant hormone changes. I am scared that is going to happen to me, she tearfully reveals in her latest BBC Three documentary, Diary of a New Mum. While she hasn't suffered from postnatal depression, one thing she has had problems with is breastfeeding. She is filmed in the new show getting up throughout the night and in constant pain as she tries to feed Sonny. It was a serious struggle for the new mum. It was not natural for me, she says. I was going on social media and it all looked perfect and amazing. People on social media make it look like the most natural thing in the world, but it didn't come naturally for me. I really had to work at it. It's like working a car. You've got to get the trajectory right and the angle right, everything. In her last documentary, Annie opened up about fears that Sonny will get bullied at school because of the way she looks. She traveled to South Korea, where 60% of women in their 20s have had plastic surgery, in an attempt to decide if she wants to have surgery to change her face. Annie says she hopes to tackle any problems that might arise from him at school but being a constant presence in his life by going to all the after-school clubs, parents' meetings and school events. She also attends events with the Katie Piper Foundation, where she received tips on the best wigs to wear and how to relieve the scar tissue on her face. As Katie, who survived a brutal acid attack by an ex-boyfriend in 2008, has created an increasing media profile, Annie says it's positive that there is more diversity on TV. It's good for Sonny to grow up seeing people like me on TV. Annie explains. And it's important it's not just about me as a burns victim, but just me as a person living a normal life like everyone else, like in my latest documentary. It normalizes it and shows, we're just like everyone else. Tiredness, tears and tantrums, Diary of a New Mum is available now on BBC iPlayer.